Welcome to the market's mindset. You've probably heard this one before. Trading is 80% psychology and 20% strategy. But here's the truth. Even traders who understand this still fall into the same trap. They read the books, watch the videos, study market theory, and yet they keep losing. Not because they lack knowledge, but because they're unknowingly sabotaging themselves. So why do smart, well-informed traders still lose? Why do people who clearly know what to do fail to actually do it? Today, we're going to dive deep into the psychology of self-sabotage in trading, how it hides in your habits, how it manipulates your emotions, and how to stop it before it costs you everything. Let's get into it. 1. The paradox of knowledge. Most traders think more knowledge automatically leads to better results. But in reality, that belief can backfire. When you start stacking information, technical indicators, new setups, market correlations, your brain starts craving certainty. And here's the problem. There is no certainty in trading. The smarter you get, the more uncomfortable that truth becomes. So, your mind creates a false sense of control by overanalyzing, over-optimizing, and overthinking. You start saying things like, maybe if I add one more confirmation, maybe this other indicator will filter out the bad trades. And before you know it, you've turned trading from a simple decision-making process into an emotional haze. This is how smart traders sabotage themselves. They think they're improving their system, but what they're really doing is avoiding discomfort. They're trying to intellectualize uncertainty instead of accepting it. 2. The ego's hidden role. The ego isn't just arrogance. It's that subtle voice inside that says, I should be doing better than this, or I can't believe I made that mistake again. It sounds like discipline, but it's really self-judgment dressed as motivation. The ego makes you obsessed with being right instead of being profitable. So, when a trade goes against you, your instinct isn't to cut it. It's to prove yourself right. You start holding losers longer. You move your stop just a little further. You tell yourself, it'll come back. And when it doesn't, you don't just lose money. You lose confidence. Every losing trade starts feeling like a reflection of you. You begin to think, if I lose, I'm not a good trader. If I win, I'm smart again. That's the ego's trap, tying your identity to your outcomes. And as long as your self-worth rises and falls with your P&L, you'll keep sabotaging your progress. 3. The emotional loop that keeps you stuck. Smart traders often recognize what they're doing wrong, but they can't stop doing it. That's because self-sabotage isn't a conscious decision. It's an emotional loop. Here's how it plays out. You make a mistake. Maybe you chase an entry. You instantly feel regret. You tell yourself, I won't do that again. Then, the next day, the market gives you the same setup. You hesitate this time, remembering what happened yesterday. The trade works perfectly, but without you. Now you feel frustration and overcompensate by forcing the next trade. Sound familiar? That's not bad luck. That's an emotional feedback loop. You're stuck reacting to how you felt about your last trade, not what's actually happening now. This is how emotional memory quietly runs your decision-making. And no amount of technical skill will override it until you change your emotional patterns. For the fear of success, here's something most traders never consider. Sometimes, you're not afraid to lose, you're afraid to win. It sounds ridiculous, right? But think about it. What happens when you start performing well? You feel the pressure to maintain it. Suddenly, every trade feels heavier. You start protecting your winning streak instead of trading your edge. Or you unconsciously give profits back to return to a comfort zone that feels emotionally safer. It's a form of self-regulation, your subconscious trying to bring your emotional state back to what it's used to. If you've spent years in a cycle of frustration and struggle, success actually feels unfamiliar, and your brain doesn't like unfamiliar. So, it sabotages you by nudging you back toward what feels normal. That's why some traders lose right after a big winning streak. They didn't lose their edge, they lost their comfort zone. 5. How to break the cycle. Breaking self-sabotage starts with brutal self-honesty. You can't fix what you won't acknowledge. So, start by identifying your personal sabotage pattern. Ask yourself, when do I start breaking my rules? What emotional state usually triggers it? Boredom, frustration, excitement. What belief is behind that behavior? For example, if you revenge trade after a loss, that's not about the market. It's about your inability to sit with disappointment. If you take trades too early, that's not impatience. It's fear of missing out, disguised as wanting confirmation. Once you can name the emotion driving your behavior, it loses power over you. Then comes the real work. Emotional conditioning. Every time you feel an emotional impulse in trading, pause for 5 seconds. That moment between impulse and action is where discipline lives. The longer you can stretch that pause, the more control you take back from your subconscious. That's how you rewire a pattern. Not through motivation, through repetition. 6. Redefining what it means to win. And the final step in breaking self-sabotage is redefining success. Most traders think winning means making money, but the real win is executing your edge with discipline, regardless of outcome. A profitable, undisciplined trade is a loss in disguise because it rewards bad behavior, and a losing disciplined trade is a win in disguise because it strengthens the habit that will keep you in the game long term. Smart traders forget this. They focus on results, not process, and the market punishes that every time. Your job isn't to make money every day. It's to trade well every day. The profits follow the process, never the other way around. 7. The mindset shift. Here's the truth. Self-sabotage never fully disappears. It's part of being human. But the difference between amateurs and professionals is awareness. Pros still feel fear, greed, frustration. They just don't let it drive the bus. They've built systems, routines, and emotional guardrails to protect them from themselves. They know that winning in trading means mastering themselves first. So if you're a trader who's been studying, learning, improving, but still can't break through, stop searching for another indicator. Stop chasing the next setup. Start looking in the mirror. That's where the real problem and the real solution has been all along. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.